When a car pushes boundaries, we're intrigued. But the Lexus NX and Audi Q5 live within the lines. They're both easy to live with cars that happen to be luxurious. So, which one is better? For many, the Lexus won before I was even born. The brand is known for long-lasting quality more than Miami is associated with public indecency. Going against that reputation gives the Q5 an uphill battle, but it puts up an admirable fight. For starters, it behaves more like a luxury car, and the price reflects this. And so how does the Audi justify this price premium? Well, hint, it's not with the features. Each of these will come with LED projector headlamps and fog lights, though with the Audi it's actually integrated into the headlight. The NX gets a giant LED light bar around back that will impress teenage gamers and car reviewers. The Lexus also comes standard with proximity entry, something that Audi makes you pay extra for. With the Audi or the Lexus, you'll find a power rear tailgate on most, the availability of a 360 view camera, and various options to customize the exterior. Briefly, I'd like to thank Royal on the Eastside in Bloomington, Indiana for letting me test drive the Q5 used in today's video. Royal on the Eastside is friendly, aggressively priced, and community focused. If you're in the market, check them out. I'm in no place to critique swagger, but I prefer the more restrained design of the Audi. I think its crisp lines and elegant curves have helped it age well. The Lexus is distinct, it's aggressive, it's just also not as pinkies up fancy as the Audi. Tell me your thoughts in the comments section. One advantage for the Q5 is that its platform from the ground up was designed to be a luxury vehicle, something the Lexus cannot boast. While some of you may think of this as simply a RAV4 with soft hands, the NX has actually gone through a thorough makeover, and they even changed the door handles, which are now electronic releases. I've grown to like them. The buttons feel high-end, and after explaining them to your passengers, they're easy to use. While that is neat, other innovations are less helpful. The cabin of the NX is eye-catching. There's big swooping lines, premium materials that improve further on the luxury trim, and build quality you would expect for the price. At 6'3", I may wish for the wheel to come out a little further, but there's soft padding for where my knees and elbows lie. The soft seats also come with great thigh and back support. Now with the Audi or the Lexus, you'll have standard leather upholstery and heated front seats with the availability for things like a panoramic sunroof, ambient lighting, ventilated seats, and a heated steering wheel, something that you'll actually get as standard with the Audi. But the similarities end there. The Lexus takes a more tech-forward approach. So standard, you'll have a 9-inch infotainment system that integrates the HVAC controls. I have the 14-inch display. Now the user interface itself is simple. The response time is good, and it comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But a decent chunk of the screen is constantly taken up by the HVAC controls, which has me wondering why they would remove those to begin with. Then there's the head-up display, which, to its credit, offers a lot of functionality, but I may actually skip this option because it does make some actions require more steps, especially if you want to change something on your standard digital gauge cluster. The comfort continues into the back seat, where I still find good thigh support, sufficient space for me to sit behind myself, and enough recline to nod off on long trips. The Lexus trunk is short on height, but the length and width keep it competitive for the class. Unfortunately, there's no spare tire. You have run flats instead, which is the automotive equivalent to fixing your finances with a gambling addiction. Comparatively, the Audi's cargo area is not only larger, but it's also smarter. You have a 40-20-40 split rear row with seat releases. Plus, they left space for a compact spare. And the rear seats are comfortable. I have enough headroom, though I'm noticeably down on room for my knees. Plus, the seat back uses a hard touch plastic. Still, I think this could work for most small families. While there's less going on with the design and you don't have the same wow factor as 14 inches of pixels, I think the cabin of the Audi Q5 is more well thought out. First, it's mechanically satisfying. While they're not electronic, the door handles and how the door shuts are reassuring. All of the individual controls are clicky, including the ones on the steering wheel. This is the kind of thing that feels upscale. And Audi also provides strong build quality. You have these very nice looking metal and wood accents, though the Lexus definitely packs more soft touch stuff. This feels more solid. And I also like the smaller yet still responsive and crisp infotainment system. Wireless CarPlay is standard too, and the optional Bang & Olufsen stereo has well-placed speakers, though I think the Mark Levinson of the Lexus packs more bass. The high volume clarity for both are behind the best in the segment, though I'm happy to see that the bass stereo in either of these cars still has 10 speakers. And while you can get a head-up display with the Q5, the available virtual cockpit is more configurable and easier to use than what's in the Lexus. Plus, the Audi is still a comfortable car. In fact, go with the Premium Plus and you have thigh extensions that are great for people well over 6 feet. The support is good, though I should note the cushioning is more firm. Both of these cars come with pretty good storage levels and each have some unique solutions, like a hidden compartment underneath the wireless charger with the Lexus, and in the Audi you have a pretty big compartment next to your knee, and the center armrest has an adjustable height, which is such an underrated feature. In the Lexus, you can actually flip the door open either way, which is less useful but cool. Both of these are luxurious, but the Audi feels more understated and traditional, whereas the Lexus feels more posh yet more trendy. And the differences grow on the road. Under the hood is the workhorse Audi 2-liter turbocharged inline-4. While it may appear to be down on power with just 201 ponies in the Q5 40 or 261 with the 45, Audi is notorious for underrating their engines. This thing can get to 60 in under 6 seconds. Even the base power plant is neck and neck with the Turbo NX. And compared to the hybrid, this just blows it out of the water. But of course, you're not drag racing these. What is important is passing power, and this has plenty of that. Once it downshifts, this feels effortless. It also sounds more refined than anything you'll find in the NX. With the Audi, a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission is standard. One clutch will basically pre-engage into the next gear, so the moment you touch that paddle or the car decides to shift, you're back into the power band, which is also quite broad and torquey. The dual clutch in most scenarios also shifts smooth, though sometimes it draws attention to itself from a stop. This is also a mild hybrid, which helps run the accessories and give it a smooth auto stop start. If you want an actual hybrid, they will sell you a plug-in version that will make it even quicker, but you will pay for that. And on top of it, the EPA gives it just a 23-mile all-electric driving range, limiting the functionality. When it comes to all-wheel drive systems, this uses Audi's Quattro Ultra, which is not like the traditional Quattro where you had a limited slip center differential. This instead prioritizes efficiency and is actually not a full-time system. Like the Lexus, it can disconnect the rear axle and engage all-wheel drive automatically in bad weather, twisty corners, spirited acceleration, and so on. However, the Audi system reacts quicker from my experience, and a majority of its torque can be sent to the rear too. Each come with a brake-based off-road mode to divert power side to side. I mean, the transmission here, it's not really something that's built for off-roading, and neither of these cars are. In fact, if you go with a hybrid Lexus, it doesn't even have a drive shaft connecting the front and rear. Instead, it uses a separate electric motor around the rear. Both of these are good for snow if that's what you're looking for. I would say the Audi gets the advantage though in terms of raw capability. And it also has an advantage around corners. The steering, while it only has a cough of feedback, it feels precise, and the steering weight builds up nicely. It's natural. It's not here to give you a concerning grin. Rather, it makes the car feel capable and substantial. And I'd say the same thing about the suspension tuning, though it has its limits. Body roll is present. If you want something more flat, you definitely need to go with the Q5, but it remains well under control. Now on a mangled Indiana back road, the Q5 does a remarkable job of not just soaking up the bumps, but also smoothing out the ride. The undulations hardly pester the Audi. And while it doesn't float over things like a luxury barge, it insulates you well from most imperfections and even potholes. don't crash their way into the cabin. Even if that rough road also gets windy, it's so confident. This thing may now be in its 7th model year, but the chassis doesn't feel a day too old. Another thing that I really find myself enjoying about the Q5 is the view outward. The windshield is close to me, it's of a reasonable size, the belt line also isn't crazy high. For a $50,000 or $60,000 luxury automobile, this is approachable.
And oddly enough, it can tow over twice of what any NX can.
Pulling up to 65 miles per hour, this is revving at just 1,500 RPM. Tire noise is subdued. There's a little bit of wind noise, but this is a quiet, serene vehicle, and I don't see anyone having problems with this for a long journey. Behind the wheel of the NX, it's a Lexus in all of the right areas. Now, just like most other Lexus products, underneath it is a Toyota. So instead of thrust, you have efficiency, and that is highlighted with the hybrid model, which can even achieve 40 miles a gallon if you're easy on it.
Unfortunately, Lexus and Audi advise premium fuel here, with the only exception being the pokey NX 250.
Acceleration from the hybrid NX is more than adequate. It's fun to see when compared to the Audi how it did need to lose traction before it sent power to the rear. All hybrids are going to be hooked up to an eCVT, which uses an electric motor to change the gear ratio for the engine. It can do it quite quickly, and a planetary gear set to actually put the power to the ground. The result is a more linear feeling CVT that still sounds exactly the same. If you want more thrust or less you can go with the non-hybrids, which will have a traditional 8-speed automatic, though I would advise stepping above the base 2.5 liter because that is straight out of the RAV4, and I just don't think it's going to fit the luxury car personality unless you truly do not care about how the car accelerates and would like to save the money. For more cash, you can get a 2.4 liter turbocharged engine that still sounds fresh out of the Toyota parts bin, but my experience with that powertrain has been mostly positive outside of some hesitancy at low speeds. That should have a noticeable improvement in passing power over the base engine and the hybrid when at higher speed. But if you want the most peppy NX, get the plug-in hybrid, which actually provides a very respectable range, but you need to complete a scavenger hunt and bribe your dealer in order to get one. Once you're up to highway speed and the engine dies down, it may have a smidge more road and tire noise than the Q5, but for the cost, I'm pleased. And I'm torn between which one of these is the better car for long distances, because even though I like the driving position more in the Q5, I think the interior of the NX is more plush. Over the same dastardly road, the Lexus takes it on the chin just as well as the Audi
and lets in similar road noise with less poise, but its soft suspension does help it absorb the road slightly better than the Q5.
Now, Lexus does offer an adaptive variable suspension, though that's more so to help it be more sporty, something that's really not a strong suit for the NX anyway. But overall, with either of these, if your roads look like this, I think you'll be happy.
The least smooth aspect of the Lexus are the brakes of the hybrid. While the Audi feels firm and linear, the NX 350h can be jerky as it goes from regenerative to friction braking,
throwing it around corners in its sport mode. The steering is not just numb, it's also pretty vague. The weight just doesn't build up like the Audis, which results in a completely disconnected sensation. You could say that if you're driving a vehicle like this, you want to be separated from the road, but this just doesn't feel natural, and it's not really any easier to drive. In fact, I would say it requires more thought than the Audi. Do I see it being a deal breaker to most people in this class? No. Body roll is present, but it changes direction in a timely manner. It still feels secure, which is key in making an upscale vehicle. Seeing out of the NX is not a tricky task, but I think I was spoiled by the Audi. This has a longer dashboard and a little bit higher belt line. Chances are, if you're considering the Lexus, you prioritize reliability. Thankfully, the first generation of the NX was remarkably problem-free, and the new car has had a good start too.
While this model is still fresh, its only big complaint from owners appears to be with the electronics and infotainment. Time will tell how the 2.4 liter turbo performs, but it has been robust so far and is based on Toyota's reputable 2.5 liter. Direct and port injection means no carbon cleaning maintenance too. The Q5 has had even more complaints with its electronics. Powertrain problems are limited after some initial oil consumption woes in the beginning of the generation. The biggest issue was with a fragile module underneath the rear seat that would brick the car if it got wet. That was recalled in 2022. Owner reviews on Cars.com and Edmunds seem to favor the Lexus when it comes to complaints. If reliability is key to you, I'd predict a brighter future for the Lexus, but the Q5 has been good to most of its owners too. When it comes to crash tests, the Lexus wins, but it hasn't undergone the same torture as the Audi.
And they have comparable active driving aids. Everything from autonomous braking to adaptive cruise and lane centering is standard across the board, something that Audi only recently added. The Lexus and the Audi use relatively proven powertrains and platforms. They have enough space for small families without the physical heft to scare away the loners. Outside of that, these contrast one another at basically every angle. By the books, the Audi Q5 does luxury better. It has a more reassuring powertrain. It handles better while still providing strong comfort with more timeless looks inside and out, at least in my opinion.
The Audi has no internal conflicts, whereas the NX doesn't have the same sense of identity. But that actually works out in its favor. Lexus made a luxury SUV for mainstream people. If you hop out of a RAV4 or Forester and into the NX, the big screen, plush materials, striking design, and quiet ride are impressive. You wouldn't think twice about the RAV4 and Highlander powertrains or dead steering. The excessive tech might be a nuisance, but you'd probably be intrigued otherwise, and you would retain the peace of mind that this is a car that won't destroy your rainy day fund. However, the Audi fixates on the details and delivers the driving experience you would expect from a modern luxury car. It doesn't need to grab your attention through big screens and dramatic body lines. That's why it's going to win today as the luxury pick. It may cost more, but it has the substance to back it up. If I was personally buying a new car, 50 grand would stretch my budget. The Audi's worse resale value and the NX's better reputation and lower price would all be enough to sway my opinion. It's the smarter choice and the one I'd spend my money on. Though I think the case for the Q5 grows stronger with a lightly used certified model under a nice warranty. Undoubtedly, the Audi camp will throw shade at Lexus fans because the NX isn't as competent, and the Lexus folks will laugh after their warranty is up, but I think both sides should appreciate these two. They're each sensible, well-executed crossovers that cater to the same needs, just different desires.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like to help me take on the maniacal YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fun, detailed car content. And become a channel member to get an additional podcast and help me take this to the next level. I'll catch you in the next one.